What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Career Mode. This is episode number 116, and we start today's episode off with a game against Southampton here away at St Mary's. And of course, the transfer window ended in the last episode, and we didn't bring in any faces for this season. We didn't sell anyone of note in the first 11 or even the first team squad, really. We only loaned out one of our youth players, and of course, the only signing we made was a pre-contract for next year. So after the transfer window ended, the reason why it was such a quiet January transfer window for us, and even though we did have a bit of money left over to work with, is because I didn't want to make changes. I mean, as you see by the table there, with 23 games in, 15 games to go, we are still top, we are still undefeated, and I didn't feel the need to make any drastic changes. You know, last year, of course, we sold a day and brought in Lacazette. There's no need to do that this year. You know, there's no need to make any changes to the first team because everything is working out totally fine. So you may as well just leave it, set the team up week by week, and hopefully keep on getting those results. So as we took on Southampton here, I've been reading some comments from people saying that the season is effectively over and it's not as interesting because there's no real sort of challenge for the title. And the fact of the matter is, I keep on trying not to mention it, but we probably already have won the title because we're just so many points ahead and no team looks capable of catching us. But there's still a lot to play for. We still want to finish this season undefeated. I want to set the record for the most points accumulated in the Premier League season, which will be 96, I do believe, because Chelsea finished with 95 back in the 04-05 season, I think it was. And I definitely want to make sure that we can go ahead and do that as well. Maybe set a record for fewest goals conceded. So there's still a lot to play for at the end of the day. And of course, we've got the Champions League, the FA Cup too, and of course, it's just the performances as well need to be good as well. So there's still a lot to play for. And even though we may have already wrapped the title up with so many games to go, there is still lots more good stuff to come. But still, we did take on Southampton for the first game of today's episode here, and they had a lot of chances in the first half, lots and lots of action, but thankfully for us, Joe Hart was making some very good saves and keeping the score at 0-0. And on the stroke of half time, would Southampton pay for missing so many opportunities? Yes, they would, because Yang, who missed a couple of chances himself, finishes the ball off very nicely as he double step overs around Moreno and finesses the ball past Silerson and puts it into the back of the net. So Southampton 0, West Bromwich Albion 1. Not a real surprise to see Yang score once again. Very, very nice finish there after a nice little double step over. Keeps his cool, puts it in the bottom corner and gets his 18th goal in the Premier League already so far in only 23 and a half games. So Southampton 0, West Bromwich Albion 1, Niang with the goal. And 15 minutes after the restart here, Southampton almost grabbed themselves an equaliser. Morgan Schneidlin's shot from just outside the area creeps wide of Joe Hart's post and behind, so still 1-0. But in the 65th minute here, Salvio's on the ball and skips past Jack Cork. He plays the ball forward towards Lacazette, and what a fantastic goal that would have been on the first time volley, but unfortunately the shot did blaze over the bar and behind, so still 1-0. And in the 75th minute, we would indeed grab ourselves the second goal, and what a routine goal it was. Southampton, well, that was not very good defending at all, let's be honest. With Kyle Walker, he just long balls the ball into the area, and Saido Berahino, who came off the bench there, just flicks the ball on. The goalkeeper gets caught in no man's land, and it's a very nice header, take nothing away from it, but even so, I don't know what the goalkeeper's doing there, getting caught in no man's land. Defensively, very poor with the mark in there and the positioning. No one shutting down Kyle Walker. Simple goal, 2-0, and it should have been 3-0 in the 79th minute. Berahino's through again one-on-one, but Silerson does deny him and keeps it at 2-0. So the game was done, really. Southampton, after the second goal, couldn't do anything, and again, Berahino was through here with Moreno chasing. He goes through one-on-one, and again, Silerson saves it. So it was a bit like Sterling and De Gea between those two. Silerson kept making the saves on the one-on-ones there against Berahino, but still, Berahino did score in this game, and that is why we won the game by 2-0. So a 2-0 victory away at Southampton, away at St Mary's, and a very good result for us. Of course, last year at St Mary's, we did indeed win the title on the final day, so this game wasn't as meaningful, but even so, it's still a very important result. Another 3 points, we keep on going with the undefeated streak, and I'm very, very impressed. It was just a really solid game for us, because after the second half, after Schneidlin's shot on the hour mark, we just controlled the game for the final half an hour, and it's what we've been doing all season. It really has. It's just been this really composed, controlled, relaxed style of play, but it's just really efficient. We're not scoring like 5-6 goals a game and just looking like the best team in the world and just making mincemeat out of all our opponents, but we're doing what we need to do, and we're doing it in such an efficient way. It's really interesting, but this is sort of a different style that I really play in terms of terms of gameplay when it comes down to career mode teams, because when I've built such a strong side in career mode, usually I win games by like 2, 3, 4 goals on a regular basis, but this year I'm not doing that. Even though we have a really good squad, you know, one of the best squads I've assembled so far in any of my career modes really, it's still more of a controlled, balanced style of play where I'm not rushing to get goals, I'm not urgently trying to seek out 3 goals a game. I'm just happy with making sure we keep clean sheets and grind out the results, and that's why we're doing so well right now, and surely on course to retain our title. But still, we take on Stoke City for the second and final game of today's episode here. So Stoke, they are currently sitting in 4th place, and there aren't many sides that have any kind of mathematical possibility of catching us, but Stoke, they're one of them. They're one of the sides that could catch us, but of course it is going to be very, very difficult for them. And of course the top 4 this year has been crazy, hasn't it? And the first chance of this game would fall in the 25th minute, and the first goal would be scored as well. Andy Carroll got it. And after scoring, I was about to celebrate, but then I thought I better go check on Niang, because by Niang, well, it was the worst possible news for us, because he got an injury during that build-up there. So Carroll goes to celebrate with him. I had to make sure he was okay and not still in a crumpled heap. But thankfully for us, as you will see, despite Niang getting an injury, he was able to run it off, and he is going to be okay. And that is just so relieving, because Niang is without doubt our best player. With the amount of goals he scores, it's crazy. So we need to wrap him in cotton wool really for the rest of the season and make sure he doesn't cause me any more heartaches with that. That really would have just thrown our season into complete contention had he stayed injured. But thankfully Carroll did score, and Niang did get back on his feet and would be okay for the rest of the game after he shook off the injury. So no real cause for concern, and it was still 1-0, but a couple of good saves from Joe Hart there saw Stoke growing confidence as they were getting themselves back into the game. And on the stroke of half-time, another great chance for them as Bojan comes forward, and the former Barcelona man is again denied by Joe Hart, who was having an absolute stormer in the first half and keeping it at 1-0. But in the second half here, 10 minutes after the restart, we play out from the back, Hart finding Ricardo Rodriguez, who gives it to Andre Carrillo. First time Ronaldo chop, and a lovely through ball into Andy Carroll. He's already got 1 goal. Can he double his goals tally? Unfortunately not, because Begovic makes a fantastic save on the 1-on-1. Really good save by the Bosnian, and it is still 1-0 from the corner. Carrillo crosses the ball in, Niang wins the header, but it goes onto the roof of the net and behind for a goal kick. So still 1-0, but Stoke in this game were relentless in their pressure. They weren't sitting back and playing damage limitation. They knew that they could put the foot on the gas and really begin to make us sweat in this game. And as Morris Eddy plays the ball forward here, Mama Biram Diouf equalises in the 65th minute, and unfortunately for us, we are back on level terms and concede for the first time in a few games. So Diouf gets the goal there. You know, I have to say as well, it was really, really poor from me in the centre. You'll watch what I'm doing with Mauricio, or possibly Zambrano, I think it is actually, in the centre. I actually sort of blocked Joe Hart's view there, as I left Juve to his own devices and thought, you know, try and squeeze it in the near post, I'll try and block the shot. And in the end, I did none of that. I just blocked Joe Hart off instead. So really silly from me there, and Stoke are back on level terms. But would it matter? Well, not really, or at least we didn't think so, because straight from kickoff we come forward. Andy Carroll and Niang passing the ball between each other, and as Carroll dinks the ball into the centre, and by Niang makes it 2-1, and Stoke surrender their lead, surrender their equaliser goal in just a few seconds. Niang gets played forward, and by Niang was never going to miss. So West Bromwich Albion 2, Stoke City 1. It's Niang's 19th goal in the Premier League this year, and it was just really poor from Stoke to know they got themselves back on level terms, did really well to do that, and then they threw it away seconds later. But in the 71st minute, they kept the pressure alive, a good chance from that free kick routine, and the shot went just wide the post. And in the 77th minute, they came through again here. Dink finding an Altovic down the left-hand side. Really good chance. He plays the ball inside towards Bojan. Bojan comes forward and he puts the shot wide, and it goes behind for a goal kick. So still 2-1, and so many chances getting wasted for Stoke. So many good opportunities, but they couldn't grab themselves a second equalising goal. But in the 84th minute here, as Bojan dinks the ball forward, Dink dinks the ball over the goalkeeper Joe Hart and puts the ball into the bottom corner, and finally gets Stoke City their second goal. And well, I'm not going to sit there and say that we undeservedly failed to get a win in this game, because the fact of the matter is Stoke deserved all three points and should have become the first side to beat us in the Premier League this year. It was a wonderful finish by Dink. Rodriguez couldn't get the ball off the line, and it was how the game would finish at 2-2, because you'll see the last chance ended up being wasted. boosted. So final score was West Bromwich Albion 2, Stoke City 2, and unfortunately for us we do drop points, but the fact of the matter is I'm just relieved that we got out of that game with a point and still remain undefeated, because Stoke had so many chances, and really Mark Hughes must have been in the dressing room saying to his players, that was your chance to become the first Premier League side in the league this year to beat that side, West Bromwich Albion. Instead you could only manage a point with some terrible finishing. You know, they had so many chances, they played so much better, and in the end we were quite relieved to end up getting a draw from that game, but still disappointed even so with the draw despite Stoke playing better. We'll have to do much better in the next game, that's for sure, and need to respond and get ourselves back to winning ways. But the last thing you'll see is us offer some contracts to some players that do have their contracts running down in the next couple of years, and also Carrillo too, because he does want an improved deal. So as always guys, a big thank you for watching the video. I really hope you have enjoyed it. If you have enjoyed today's episode of Career Mode, then please do leave a like, because it is much appreciated, and of course it really does help my channel out, and I'll see you for the next episode of Career Mode very soon.